There you go. Do that. That's who makes the big bucks. It's the people telling everybody else.
I call the meeting of December 4th, 2023 to order at 6:02 PM. Thank you, Mom. Okay, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Michelle, would you like to call the roll?
Potato. Brown,
No, he called in.
Cole. Here. Hochstetter,
Here.
Reed,
Here.
Stewart.
Here.
All right. Member Brown informed us he will not be in attendance tonight, so do I have a motion to excuse him? Deputy Mayor.
I move we excuse Councilmember Brown from this evening's meeting.
Second.
And seconded by Councilmember Reed. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, all right. Thank you, guys. Okay, consent agenda. Would the clerk please read the consent agenda? Yeah. I think we're gonna move right into, instead of that, we're going to swear somebody in for the oath of office. Andy, why don't you come on up?
Everybody.
Mr. Elfers will be replacing Councilmember Newman, and it was certified last week, so exciting.
You ready? Let's do this, right? Yeah. Okay, gonna raise your right hand. I, Andy Elfers, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States.
Repeat after you.
Please.
Okay.
I should have said that. I'm sorry.
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States
And the Constitution and laws of the state of Washington
and the Constitution and the laws of the state of Washington
and all local ordinances
and all local ordinances,
that I, to the best of my ability,
that I, to the best of my ability,
diligently and impartially perform the duties
diligently and impartially perform the duties
of the office of the council member for the city of Sumner
of the office of the council member for the city of Sumner
in and for Pierce County, Washington.
and in Fort Pierce County, Washington,
As such duties are prescribed by law.
as such duties are prescribed by law.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Come on up, Andy. Let him get a little comfortable here. Okay, now could the clerk please call for, read the consent agenda?
Item number 1, employment agreement with Michael Kosa for Public Works Director. Item number 2, approval of the minutes from the November 20th, 2023 regular council meeting on the 27th of November, 2023 study session.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve?
Yes, I will make the motion to adopt the consent agenda as read.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I
Second.
We have 2 seconds. All in favor?
Excuse me,
Aye.
we didn't get who the second was.
It was Councilmember Cole.
Thank you.
All right. Now we move on. Deputy Mayor Hochstetter, would you make a motion? That was down here. Done.
To the public hearing.
Excuse me?
The public hearing.
Yes, we're going on to the public hearing right now. One second. I know she is. I'm looking for it on my.
It's on the top.
You can count it.
No, it's not on mine. All right. This is a public hearing and I will open the public hearing at 6:07. I'll call Cassandra Raymond and she is our Chief Financial Officer.
Good evening, Mayor, council members and citizens. So before you tonight, we are holding a public hearing for ordinance number 2874. This is a mid-biennial budget amendment for our 2023-2024 biennial budget. This public hearing affords our citizens with the opportunity to give input onto the changes proposed before adoption. There we go. Why this amendment? RCW requires that all municipalities budgeting on a biennial basis perform a mid-biennial budget review. In addition, we use quarterly budget amendments to provide council and our community a timely and transparent view of all of our budget needs, using the quarterly amendments to review changes, revisit revised forecasts as necessary, and adjust for programmatic changes. All of these amendments, including the mid-biennial, are reviewed in detail by our Finance and Personnel Committee and are an integral part of our overall financial management process. At a glance, the mid-biennial budget amendment increases our revenues by $6,339,761 and increases expenditures by $6,724,393. And this is across all of our funds. As we look individually at our funds, in the general fund, we'll be recognizing additional costs for legal services associated with the Ryan House, cost for development services plan review, both funding from Pierce County and general fund expense for the bus up service, tuition reimbursement in our legal department, and Metro Animal Services an increase in per capita for 2024. This gives us a total operating change of revenues of an additional $79,000 and expenditures of $282,840. In addition, we're asking for a pass-through authorization to allocate opioid funding to Pierce County, as well as housing funding to SHAPE. That's the South Sound Housing Affordability Partnership. These are state-shared revenues that we'll be passing on to Pierce County to pull with other agencies for use in those purposes. In Fund 302, this is our sidewalk capital fund. We're recognizing $80,000 to begin the design for the West Valley sidewalk repair. That's the photo we see on the slide. This project will entail putting in both a retaining wall and additional support for that sidewalk. So we'll be coming back to council in likely the next biennium for a construction cost, but this is to begin the design for that repair. In addition, we'll be recognizing Sound Transit Station access improvements. This was a capital contribution of $350,000. In our Fund 310, this is our Parks and Capital. We're recognizing an additional grant award of a little over $5.3 million for construction of that project, and then the offsetting expenditure. In Fund 320, this is our Street Capital Fund. We're recognizing both revenue and expenditure for the Maple Street pedestrian improvements. This is additional grant funding that was received from the Federal Highway Administration, as well as recognizing funding from Sound Transit. This is a capital contribution for bicycle lanes. In Fund 325, this is our Facilities Capital Fund. We're recognizing an additional $100,000 grant. This is coming from the Department of Commerce to be applied to our operations facility, as well as de-obligating grant funding and the associated expense for the Ryan House. This is the Pierce County LTAC grant that expires at the end of 2023. In Fund 401, recognizing an expense for the rental of Job Shack at Central Well, as well as filter media replacement at the Central Well, and then supplies for service meters. Fund 402 is our wastewater fund. We received a grant from Puget Sound Energy for the acquisition of ammonia probes, so we'll be recognizing both that revenue and the offsetting expense, as well as some additional chemicals for plant efficiency and equipment replacements at our treatment facility. And Fund 440, this is animal control. We issued a small increase in the per capita for both the partner and for all of the partner agencies of 30 cents per capita. And this is recognizing the additional revenue into that fund. Finally, in Fund 551, this is information technology. Our staff applied for and received a Washington Department of Emergency Management grant through the Department of Homeland Security. So we'll be accepting $32,000 and then expending that amount for Microsoft Defender for cybersecurity. For this mid-biennial budget amendment, this was reviewed in detail on November 16th at our committee. We brought it to a city council study session on November 27th. Tonight is our public hearing, and we're planning to present for adoption on December 11th. So at our meeting next Monday. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right. Any questions from the public? All right, seeing none, any comments from council?
Can I ask a question?
Come on up.
Okay. I noticed in the presentation you gave that there was a deficit of $79,000
Ms.
for the
Enzo,
city budget.
Ms. Enzo, I'm sorry, can you push the on button on your mic?
Oh. Okay, thank you. I noticed on the presentation that the lady gave that there was a deficit between the revenue and the expenditures. Just was curious how the council is going to cover that deficit.
Sandra, anybody have any comments for here?
Mayor, we do have some people virtually attending tonight, so if they would like to provide public comment, please use the raise your hand feature or press *9 on your telephone.
Thank you.
Mr. Steffens will let you know if there's anybody.
All right. Any other comments? Okay. Seeing none. Close the public hearing. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mayor, could you please announce the time?
At 6:14.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. We are moving on to unfinished business, which we have none. And that was public comment.
Mayor, we're moving on to public comment now.
Yes,
Okay. Would you like me to read the rules?
please.
The public comment period is your opportunity to speak to the council and mayor on issues that are not on the agenda. You will have 3 minutes. Please begin your comments by stating your name and address or the city in which you reside for the record. As a reminder, this portion of the meeting is the council's opportunity to hear from the community and not a time to engage in debate. The council will not be answering questions, and you may be directed to a staff member.
All right, do we have any comments from the public for items not on the agenda?
Is that your sign-up sheet?
No. Yes, it is. You want to trade me places tonight?
I'm not, just thought I'd bring it up.
Okay, I call Randall Adams.
I think so. I can check for you.
Button.
Hit the button, right?
Thank you.
Randall Adams, 63rd Street, Court East. While I'm here mainly to talk about the utility rate increase before that, I'd hope that this weekend that City Council heard the wonderful response that the Saving the Ryan float had in the Christmas parade and took note that the citizens of Sumner do in fact want to save the Ryan House. It was very fulfilling for those of us who had been trying to get you to revisit your process and decision to demolish that historic part of Sumner. regarding the proposed rate hike, I strongly ask you to postpone your vote.
Point of order.
Excuse me. This is for items not on the agenda.
Is that on the agenda? I'm sorry. I was asked. Okay. Can I speak then later when it is on the agenda?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize. Shut me up.
Are you done?
For now, it's.
Okay, thank you.
Put a pin in it.
All right. Now we were gonna call Nick Bierman.
I was like, I think they are. I was like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm trying to read it fast enough.
Okay,
Yeah.
so my name is Nick Bierman. I live here in Sumner on Parker Road East. I want to take just a few minutes of time to speak before the council, the mayor, and the residents of Sumner. And it seems to be becoming David versus Goliath regarding the Ryan House. And I just want to speak to the fact that the Davids of this town, the Davids are the citizens fighting up against the government in this case. And many of us are using our own personal funds or are spending a lot of time, spending a lot of energy of our own. We don't have the ability to shuffle around $60,000 for a legal defense fund. A lot of us are not city employees. We're not making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. We're fighting a lot of this because of what we believe in and the fact that we do not want to see the Ryan House demolished. We want to see this historic part of our history preserved and saved for all future generations. And I also want to say that with a little bit of more opportunity for public input in the past, maybe we wouldn't have been in this position where we are now, or we're trying to fight something that's already been done. That if there was more public input in the past, if the citizens had an ability to have more input in what they wanted to do, if they wanted to find more ways of raising money in the past, and we're not giving, and if we wouldn't be giving up the $400,000 in the LTAC grant, we could still be talking about what we can do. And I'd like to get back to that kind of a conversation and have that conversation again, talk more about what we can do in the future. I don't want it to be a David versus Goliath, because the Davids have to do a lot more fighting in order to stay in the ring. And I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Well, that's all I have signed up. Is anybody out there want to say anything else? No? All right.
Mayor, if you could just remind our virtual audience that if they want to provide public comment.
Is anybody online would like to have a public comment? Hit *9 and raise your hand. Seeing none, we will move on. Ordinance number 2875, utility rate adjustments. I will call on council. Do I have a motion? Mr. Stewart?
Thank you, Mayor. I move to adopt ordinance number 2875, utility rate adjustment.
All right,
Yes, and I'll second that.
seconded by Deputy Mayor Hochstetter. And with the clerk,
Well,
no, all right, Andrew, I call on Andrew from the utility department, from the city engineer, Andrew Leach.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. This first ordinance number 2875 under new business is for the 2024 utility rate adjustments. As you know, the city manages 3 utilities, water, sewer, and stormwater. And the operation of these utilities are supported in large part by ratepayers. This year, the city contracted with FCS Group to perform a utility rate study for our utilities. FCS has been performing our rate studies for a number of years. They did go through a selection process this time around through a scoring committee and interview committee. And they were selected to perform the study this year. Staff and FCS presented their study findings at the November 13th study session. The study resulted in recommendations for making adjustments to our rates. And those adjustments are as follows up here on the screen. An increase of the water utility of 4%, the sewer utility increase of 4.5%, and the stormwater utility increase of 6%. I'll cover the STCs on the next ordinance, but on this next slide, just a quick comparison of how our rates, these new rates compare to other cities around. You can see the Sumner 2024 proposed rates there, about the third line down. And a little bit further, you can see where we were under 2023. It's a little bit of an increase, but I will note these other rate numbers from other cities are their 2023 numbers and will most likely have changes to their 2024 rates. So if this ordinance is adopted, these new rates would go into effect January 1st of 2024. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right. Do we have any, Mr. Reed?
Thank you, Mayor. Andy, I just wanted to say thank you. I'm in support of this adjustment. I'm not one that's normally quick for tax increases or fee increases, but this is actually much better than I anticipated it to be between inflation and the unfunded mandates that have been put down by the state. In current form, it's going to put us in the upper middle compared to our neighbors. And by the time budget goes in for next year, it's likely to drop us down to the middle or lower middle in comparison. And that's after all the cost increases. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Member Elfers.
Hey, Andrew, could you give me a little bit, why is stormwater going up at such a higher rate than the other ones?
Oops. Check our past presentation real quick.
Does it have to do with the new public works building?
Portion, yes. So a portion of those increases are related to our future capital projects. A big portion is the operations facility will be, the storm utility will be helping to fund that project. So, and yeah, sorry. Answer.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Cindy, go ahead.
Hi, Mr. Leach. I just wanted to say that we got a very good explanation on this from the consultant that you hire that has worked with us over the years, and also that there's so many variables in this that we hire a professional to work all these numbers and come with something that we were very secure with. So.
Anybody else? All right, seeing none. Do I have anybody from the public that would like to speak on this? Mr. Adams?
Is that allowed? Randall Adams, 63rd Street, Court East. I'm not here to tell you not to accept the rate hike. That's not what I am. What I am here, though, is to strongly ask you postpone your vote until the city has addressed how they are going to reduce the costs to our senior and disabled citizens within this rate increase. Councilman Stewart asked the city staff what they were going to do for these folks and was told, one, we'll get back to you on that, or two, if we do anything, somebody else is going to have to pay. So instead, what the city did in that interim was help put together a presentation on the alarmingly failed MIC program and suggested that for us to be a progressive city, we should continue to throw away $75,000 a year this coming year. No, what we need to do is to reduce our expenses by canceling MIC and at the same time reduce our utility income from seniors and disabled citizens. Social Security suggests that the average payment for a retiree is $1,450 a month. And we need to try to protect these citizens whose long-term efforts had helped keep Sumner such a desirable place to live. That would define a progressive city action. I suggest that the city actually find out how many low-income seniors and disabled citizens we have, and shame on us for not already knowing this. Then define how we are going to do something about their utility bills. I suggest a flat $50 fee regardless, just flat $50, that will reduce the income from the city that the city would lose of $65 a month on the basic monthly bill. If we have 100 such citizens, then the city would save $10,000 over the MIC program by only having $65,000 in reduced incomes. If our income is reduced by more than that, then that can be addressed in the larger bond issue that we'll have coming up in 18 months for our new utility and administrative complex north of downtown. Please remember that our water billings alone are going to pay for over $30 million of the total cost of that project, and that we need to proceed. We need to protect these at-risk citizens from this most regressive of taxes for them. Also, before you require this, you should require the city to tell us how much each month our bill is being affected by the new complex. Please show that we are a progressive city by protecting the seniors and disabled citizens, and make the city present a formal policy to be implemented for this rate increases is implemented, increased, done, and not accept a kiss and a promise that we'll do it later. It is a matter of misplaced priorities that this has not already been presented to you. Do not vote yes until this has been addressed to protect our senior and disabled citizens. That's how we should be defined as a progressive city.
All right. Any other comments from the council before we take it? All right. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Reed,
Yes.
Neto,
Yes.
Hochstetter,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Stewart,
No.
Brown, Elfers,
No.
All right, passes 4-2. Thank you. Okay, moving on to ordinance number 2876, system development charge adjustments. Councilmember Potato, would you like to make a motion?
Sure. I make a motion to adopt ordinance number 2876, system development charge adjustments.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor. And we still have Andrew Leach, Associate City Engineer.
Good evening. So this next ordinance number 2876 is for the adjustments of our system development charges, or SDCs for short. Like I mentioned, under the previous ordinance, FCS Group was also contracted to evaluate our SDC charges. They presented their findings at the November 13th study session as well. Go back here. So their recommendations from the study were as follows. And increasing slightly of the water utility SDCs to $7,717 per meter equivalent. And the sewer utility, a decrease to $5,727 per equivalent residential unit. And then for the stormwater utility, a decrease down to $2,626 per equivalent service unit. And just for transparency, under the stormwater, you'll see the 3,740 is italicized. That was a change from our study session presentation. That number at the study session was shown as 3,100, but it was in error, and we had to make that correction to what the current number is. So adoption of this ordinance would take an effect of January 1st, 2024.
Thank you. Okay, do I have any comments from the public on this? Seeing none. Anybody online would like to hit *9 or raise your hand? None? All right. Any comments from the council? Mr. Stewart.
Thank you, Andrew. Would you, for my benefit and the people who aren't familiar with this, explain what a, what is it called, SDC is?
Yeah. So SDC, it's connected to our kind of permitting and development or private development charges. It's So it's a connection charge under, authorized under an RCW. So this kind of helps recovers an equitable share of the system costs from our private development. It's based on the cost of existing assets and future capital projects as well. And then it provides a source of funding for capital projects and or debt service.
Okay, that was well done. Thank you. But I have another question. I'm assuming that contractors or developers pay the SDCs. And it's not going to show up on my bill at home or anybody else's bill, except maybe in a later rate increase to cover costs associated with those developments.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Okay. Seeing none. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Hochstetter,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Machado,
Yes.
Alfers,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
George.
Yes,
All right, passes unanimous.
I thought it was one big thing. So we're getting the tax.
Moving on to reports. Councilmember Reed.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a short one that I very much enjoyed the Santa Parade on Saturday, and it was another amazing turnout, and the weather held out just long enough, it seems like, to get through it before it came down.
You. Councilmember Elfers.
Also enjoyed the Santa Parade. Also had a wrestling tournament with the high school was doing a wrestling tournament at arena tournament at the high school. So I got to be able to jump in and out of that. It was great to have a lot going on in the city. So and I'm happy to be here today.
Good. Councilmember Cole.
Just welcome to Councilmember Alfers.
Deputy Mayor.
Well, I also had a super good time at the little Santa Parade. It's surprising that something just so small can be as much fun as it is, but I have a good time looking out in the crowd and trying to find people I know. So I hope we can continue to have those kind of small little hometown situations. So thank you.
Councilmember Stewart.
thank you, Mayor. I do want to welcome Andy to the council, and we look forward to working with you in the future. Also, congratulations to Michael Koza for his official appointment as our Public Works and Utilities Director. And I did not enjoy the Santa Parade because I wasn't there. I'm so sorry I missed it. And that'll do it. Thank you.
Councilmember Potato.
Last Wednesday, the Pierce County Council had their district meeting here, and it was well attended by many people from Sumner, and the mayor gave a good report about the city, as well as Chief Moriki talking about some of the challenges that the police department has. And the library announced that they're moving forward with the plans. They've interviewed architects, so they should have one chosen by I think they were going to say Friday, but I'll give them till the end of the month. And then welcome Andy to the dais, and we'll look forward to our other council member joining us soon. So thank you.
All right, City Administrator Jason Wilson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Coming up next Monday, instead of having a study session, we're going to cancel that and hold a special council meeting. This is the last meeting of the year, so we do have quite a full agenda. We're going to start off with recognizing one of our employees, Officer Allensworth, was fortunate enough to be recognized at the national level for some good police work that he did earlier this year, helping apprehend some homicide suspects at the north end of our city. After that, we'll move into our consent agenda, where you will consider a property acquisition for the Wooden Main intersection. This will complete the property acquisition for that project. And that's for the bike shop and dairy freeze. There'll also be several permanent and construction easements for the Stewart Road Bridge replacement project, a consultant contract amendment for the Maple Street pedestrian signal, and a contract supplement with Natural Systems Design for the White River Restoration Project. Under new business, you'll have the ordinance, or sorry, unfinished business rather, you'll have the ordinance for the mid-biennial budget that we had the public hearing for today. And the new business and ordinance adopting the 2024 compensation schedule, as well as reviewing an agreement with Bus Up for MIC Transit. In other news, as we all know, it's raining outside. We have a lot of rain that's in the forecast over the next 48 hours. Staff is actively monitoring the weather as well as the river forecast. We do anticipate high water on both the Puyallup and White Rivers, but don't anticipate any impact to our residential areas. That being said, starting tomorrow afternoon, we will be closing the Sumner Link Trail just because we do anticipate water over several portions of that trail. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? No?
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. All right, so thank you to the public for showing up in masses to the bridge lighting and the Santa Parade. It's nice to see so many people downtown. But remember, you don't have to wait till a parade or a bridge lighting. You can shop local and go downtown any day. So I like seeing people downtown. You can get some really unique gifts. Also, the police department is having their yearly toy box, and they're taking donations of new toys to give out, and you can drop off your toys in the lobby of City Hall, and they'll go to some kids who really need them. So thank you very much, and I will adjourn this meeting at 6:38.